Hello coders, welcome back. In this video, we are going to be covering a new topic. Well, more like an extension of another topic we already covered, which was methods, but now we are going to be going into detail about what method overloading is. So method overloading you can use in your programs. And basically what method overloading is when you create multiple methods with the same name and they basically overload each other. So the only difference is typically you're not supposed to have methods with the same name and the same number of parameters. So in this case, you use method overloading, and method overloading allows you to have multiple methods with the same name but with different parameters. So as long as the methods have different parameters, then you can have methods with the same name. So I'll go ahead and show you an example of that. So in case you want to use it in your programs, you can do so. So first I want to create our variable that we're going to use in our methods, which is going to be string name. And in this case, I don't want to create a object of the class here. So I'm going to be creating my methods as static. So remember, when you use static, you do not have to create a class object. So just keep that in mind. So that's what I'm going to be doing because I don't necessarily want to create a object. So I'll go ahead and get started. So first, we're going to do method 1. So we're going to go ahead and public static, then I'll say string name or print name, and then we're going to go ahead and do that. Here, I am going to be returning the name. So I need to say return name. Okay. And here, if you look, it says cannot make a static reference to a non-static field. So it says you can change name to static if you would like to, but do you have to? Not necessarily. So here we'll go ahead and place that here. So we're going to say return name. And here I want to say name equals John. All right, so we're still having an error, and it's probably because of the static, which it is. So it's saying, oh, if you change the name to static, then it'll work. Now, there is a way you can do it without doing all of this. That would be creating the object, which we'll do in the next example. But here we fixed that issue. We matched static to static and it will return the name. So if we were to test this out, calling method 1, then we would say print name. And in this case, we have to actually put in a print statement because we're returning it. So if we want to see something, we have to put it in a print statement. System.out.print line, and then we're going to put print name, and then run that. All right, and then you see it printed out John for us. So that's the first example of working with the static method. We didn't have to create our object when we ran our main method. So to go off of this, we'll go ahead and create our second method. So method 2. So we'll say public static string print name. Now to overload it, we cannot have the method not take any parameters because this one doesn't take any parameters. So you see that's why we're getting error. They're the exact same. They can't be the same. So for us to fix this, string we're gonna do that, and we're gonna return name. So you see we fixed it, but this time this has the same name as this. So this is method overloading. As you see here, it says overload.printName. Here, same thing, overload.printName, except it now takes in 2 parameters. This one took in no parameters, so we would have to take in the parameters when we call it for it to run. So for that, we could do this. Copy that. We'll say calling method 2 and paste that here. Now the only thing here, we had to give it names. So we'll give it John, and then we'll give it another name, Taylor. All right. Now here we need to put it together. So we'll say name equals fn plus ln, and then it will return the name to us. So then you run that, and then now you see it's giving us John Taylor. So that's another way you could do it. Another way you could do it is also by adding a middle name, right? So we could copy this. We could do method 3, paste that. Here we're going to say string middle name. Here we could do plus mn plus ln. Then when we call that, I'm going to copy this. Then we'll give it a middle name. All right. So basically, let's pause for a second. What's happening is we use method overloading 3 times. So this is our first method with print name, no parameters is taken in. This is our second method with print name, but we're taking in 2 parameters. And this is our third case where we're taking in 3 parameters. So why did we do that? In some cases, we might not want to print out our user's full name. We might just want to print out their first name, which is actually happening in print name. Same thing with, so in this case, to not set it to John, we could have did this here, string fn, and then we could have just said name equals fn. So here we would tell it what the name is. So in this example, you see some cases, you might not necessarily have a middle name. So if you don't have a middle name, you wouldn't want to use this print name. You would want to use this print name, and it will automatically know which method to use based on the parameters you give it. So anytime you say print name with 2 parameters, it's going to come and run your method 2. Anytime you say print name with 3 parameters, it's going to find method 3. So it's going to find the method that matches what you gave it. So here it says print name, there's 1, 2, 3 options. So when you click run, your program is scanning through the method names. It's trying to find a print name. So it's going to find this. It's going to see that this only has 1 parameter. So it's going to skip this one. It's going to find this one. It's going to see it has 2 parameters. It's going to skip this one. And it's going to find this one. It sees it has 3 parameters. That fits the case that it needs to meet. So it's then going to execute anything that's inside of that method. So that is method overloading. It's basically going through your program to see which method it fits, and it's going to run that based on the parameters that it was given. Although the name is the same for all of them, they technically do something different in each one. So in the example of the first method, it just assigns name to be the first name. In method 2, it assigns the name to be the first and the last name. In method 3, it assigns it to be the first name, the middle name, and the last name. Regardless of the method that's used, you can still set the name of the user and return it. So this is an example of method overloading. It's not too complicated. You can do this with any type of method that you create. In this case, I did work with static methods because I did not want to create an object. You do not have to only work with static methods when you're working with method overloading. You can, of course, use the other methods and just create an object of the class to work with those methods. But to save us time, I chose to go the static route. So that is, in a nutshell, method overloading. Really quick, really simple, and hopefully it is easy for you to understand. So as always, coders, I encourage you to practice. The more you practice, the better you get. The better you get, the more confident you will be and feel as a coder. And this is one of those topics that you may be using in the future. So please make sure that you understand how it works. And until next time, just keep coding, keep practicing, investing multiple hours a week into programming. And I hope to see you in the next video.